Good morning, traders. I am Emily Bonney, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, July 5th. We've returned to trading today as investors await jobs data and after a record-setting mixed day on Wall Street ahead of the July 4th holiday. The Nasdaq hit another record close by adding 159 points or 0.88%. The S&P 500 also ended in record territory, gaining 28 points or just more than 0.5%. The Dow ended in the red, giving up 23 points or 0.06%. Let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps, they're flat to higher. We're up 0.02%. That's a positive going into today. I mean, the big thing for today is really the release of the non-farm payrolls report. That's coming out 1 hour before the opening bell. It's a key indicator for the economy. And Wednesday after the bell, we got the Fed meeting minutes. Now, those Fed meeting minutes indicated that the Federal Reserve officials were talking very strongly on employment. They're very concerned with the employment data, and while that Fed non-farms payroll report coming out today, it's likely going to show unemployment is around 4%, and that's kind of bodes well for a rate cut in September, but we'll have to wait and see. Europe, you got some positive action in Europe this morning. Those election outcomes. It's not who won; it's more that the election happened and that there is an outcome. So that removes kind of the uncertainty, which is a positive. I mean, Macy's, we get takeover talk there. Tesla's seen some good gains. They got some positive news out of China that came in. But one item that I got to be following is this President Biden news. He's going to be doing an interview today with the ABC network. It's going to be broadcasted later this evening. We'll have to wait and see what he says. But there are calls for him to step down. We'll have to see what happens. It's Friday, evening is when this thing's going to be aired. So we'll have to wait and see. We're taking a look at European markets this morning. We are showing gains. We're showing the DAX up 140 points or 0.76%. I did see that the German manufacturing data came in weaker than expected. It's said to be due to a substantial decrease in the automotive industry. The FTSE, it's flat to higher. It's up 0.03%. The Labour Party, obtained a majority that ends the Prime Minister's 14-year Conservative Party's rule. Non-event right now. The CAC is up 21 points or 0.28%. Those French elections are scheduled for July 7th. The far right-wing party, Marine Le Pen's party, is expected to fall short on its efforts to obtain a majority. So, as long as we have an election, that's really what the key is. Then we got to keep an eye on oil prices. Oil prices are mixed this morning, which is unusual. But it's quiet trading. The market's got to attempt to price in that fall in German industrial orders against the elevated tensions in the Middle East. Israel supposedly killed a Hezbollah commander, and then Hezbollah returned, with hundreds of drone strikes across the border, which Israel, defended most of them apparently. But those tensions in the Middle East continue to be elevated, and you don't want to see it expand into a greater war, that's for sure. But right now we're looking at WTI $83.94. We're looking at Brent at $87.34, and that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
And Bill, as we're all returning to trading today after yesterday's holiday and a half day of trading on Wednesday, a lot of us are brushing off the dust this morning, but you are diving right into it and you're able to be getting all of this information quickly to prepare for the trading day ahead because you have your newsware and you're breaking it down into alerts. And we can tell from your opening, you're already following all of the day's news. This includes earnings action, economic events, that non-farm payrolls, as you mentioned, and other market moving headlines. We're going to get through the details now. We're going to look at earnings action, but Bill, really not much to note in terms of that, but give us anything we should be watching when it comes to earnings.
Yeah, no earnings came out, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday or this morning. But Monday, we do have Greenbrier Companies coming out. That's ticker GBX, Grace Boy X-Ray. Um, they're coming out Monday after the bell. EPS is 47 cents. Expected move 10.75%. So, that's really what we've seen. And then you got to remember next Friday, a week from today, is when we really kind of start off with earnings. That's when the banks are going to start reporting earnings. When you have Bank of New York, Citibank, Wells Fargo, JPM all reporting earnings next Friday. So we're going to start kicking up the earnings action. But today it's light. It's a Friday. It's July. Not a lot on the calendar, Emily.
We will be watching that. And, as earning season heats up in a week, we will be using our newsware to follow all of that information as it comes in. Today, we are watching that non-farms payroll, as you mentioned. And as soon as that information comes in, you'll have it because of your newsware alert. So, Bill, give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to the day's economic events.
The key one today, obviously, is the non-farm payrolls report. It's scheduled to release an hour before the opening. Expectations are for a reading of plus 190, which I've seen it plus 160 all the way up to plus 200, but I'm thinking plus 190 makes sense. I mean, May's reading was plus 272, which was really high, but I think unemployment will stay around the 4% level, which is positive indication for that help the odds for a September rate cut. Odds for a September rate cut now are at 66.5% according to that CME tool. And then you look at the Fed meetings minutes, which were released, after the bell on Wednesday. They did have some discussions about raising rates. They did talk about their dot plot. How they changed from 3 rate cuts in March to 1 in June. But that report is typically inaccurate. So I suspect we're going to have one in September, and think we have another one in December. So that's kind of how I see it right now. But they're not going to be big cuts. They're going to be small cuts. We're going to be cutting slowly on the way down. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Rate cuts, rate hikes were being done at 3/4 of a point going into the Fed's policy change. Now they're going to be dropped to like 25 basis points. Every other meeting, every third meeting or something. But we'll have to wait and see. But today, focused the non-farm payrolls report. That's a big number coming out this morning, Emily.
And again, keeping an eye on that with your newsware. As soon as that information hits the tape, you'll have it on hand first. You won't be trailing behind major news outlets because you'll have the headline first using the professional news wire. The other types of information you're following this morning are things like merger news. You also look at your stocks grouped together to see certain trends, your FANG stocks, your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 13 higher, 12 lower, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Tesla's having a nice move, up 2.28%. Meta's trading higher. Amazon and Google are higher. Netflix and Apple are trading slightly lower. But I want to get into the details. In the background of some of these deals, like Apple. Yeah, Apple's off, flat to off, but Epic Games said that they submitted the Epic Games Store to Apple for notarization under Apple's alternative app marketplace policy, which is like a rule from the EU. Apparently, Apple has rejected it, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Amazon, we're seeing Amazon showing a little bit of gain this morning. EU regulators are requesting Amazon to provide more information on the measures the Amazon has taken to comply with their Digital Services Act obligations. Elon Musk and Tesla, you're seeing big gains in Tesla this morning, really due to the fact that there's Chinese government agencies are including Tesla cars in their upcoming procurement budget. So that's a positive for Tesla. Tesla has ceased contact with India, though. That's kind of a negative. Looks like he was going to make an investment in India, but now he's kind of shying away from it. Let's talk Dow Jones 30 stocks, and let's start off with J.P. Morgan Chase. J.P. Morgan, ticker JPM. Chase is planning to, charge for checking accounts soon. These are bunch of new banking rules. They got to be paid for. And Chase's and JP Morgan's solution is to raise its cost on banking fees. So if you got a checking account with Chase, they'll probably increase some fees and start charging you a monthly fee for it. Disney, ticker DIS, along with Netflix, they're asking Canadian courts to stop the proposed tax on streaming services. Cisco signed a memorandum of understanding with HTX for research and development on 5G and AI. In terms of merger news, let's talk Saks Fifth Avenue. The Saks Fifth Avenue's owner, they're going to be buying Neiman Marcus in a $2.65 billion deal. I see that, Salesforce, ticker CRM, and Amazon, ticker AMZN, they've got some minority interest stakes in this deal. Macy's, Macy's, the investor group raises bid for Macy's to 2480. It's another, sooner or later they got to take that bid. They keep coming in higher. That's all I'm really seeing for like news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that Newsware delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the trade talk pick of the day. Though returning to trading for one day this week, what do you have for us for the pick of the day?
GBX, Grace Boy X-Ray, Greenbrier Companies, earnings are out Monday after the bell. EPS is 47 cents. Expected move is 10.75%. You're looking at Wednesday's call volume. 700, remember, Wednesday was a half day. Call volume was 760 calls versus 532 puts. Okay, positive. Open interest, 3,779 versus 2,491. Okay, still positive. It's good to see. Major brokers are raising price targets on the stock. That's good to see. In terms of an entry price, it's kind of cautious here. I mean, I want to get in on 49.50 or under. Stocks trading 49.18 to 51.99. So I'm hoping to get in under 49.50, but definitely under $50. But I think if I can get in, if it does hit that 49.50, there's safety there, and that would be a good entry price. And that's my pick of the day. Ticker GBX, Grace Boy X-Ray, 49.50, Emily.
Watching GBX today, we will follow that along with you. And coming up, we will do a recap on Wednesday's pick of the day before we sign off. So stick with us till that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Let's see, what do we have here this morning? AZN, AstraZeneca, they got a drug that was approved as the first line treatment for lung cancer. It's positive. AZN seeing some gains this morning. Apple supplier Foxconn reports Q2 revenue ahead of estimates. Shares rise. That's positive for Apple. Got Pepsi coming out with earnings next week. Ticker PEP, Paul Edward Paul. Amazon's going to build a $1.3 billion top secret cloud for Australia's government. SNN, Sam Nancy, active shareholder, there's an activist hedge fund that revealed a 5% equity position in the stock. Ericsson, ticker ERIC, Elvis Richard India Charlie, they intend to book a $1.1 billion charge for the latest quarter due to the recent take. Remember, they bought Vonage. Ericsson's earnings come out next Friday. Lilly, I see Morgan Stanley says impact to Lilly's GLP-1 opportunity is very low. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and get to trading on this Friday, let's do that check in on Wednesday's pick of the day, which was Delta. Now, this one was, tough to make a pick on that half day on Wednesday ahead of yesterday's holiday. But you were, looking for a boost in air travel that was predicted, hoping that would help the stock. Now, when it comes to news items, just a few days ago, back on Wednesday, Delta did have to divert a flight because of some spoiled meals on an Amsterdam bound flight, and it was diverted, and some people were treated because of that incident, and they were serving only vegetarian meals. But that didn't really hurt the stock. But this did occur, as Delta was saying, there was a period of record air travel. So the air travel note was something that you had called ahead of the holiday. How did your call work out?
mean, it worked out. I mean, look at the stock. It opened up 47.15, fell to 46.91, and closed at 47.39. And I said, listen, you want to get in under 47. I was really being more aggressive on the price because I thought it would maybe fall a little more than that, but it only fell, but it did fall under $47, down to 46.91. And then you look at the stock this morning, and it's trading, 47, 55. That's positive. Actually, at a high of 47.60 this morning. There's your 1%. So it did work out. It's just, there's probably more gains to come because Delta is releasing earnings next week. And I think that you look at the air travel and, it probably hit record weekends this, due to the holiday travel. So that's going to be positive. But Delta Airlines, ticker DAL, eked out a win there.
You were able to get a win, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's Greenbrier pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.